Good morning, Meshach. It's Monday, October 11th, and let's change this shirt. Oh no. Much better. Good morning, Meshach. It's Monday, October 11th, and today, apparently, is Columbus Day. How did that happen? Is it always in October? I feel like it's in September. And actually, today's more than just Columbus Day. Apparently, it is also National Coming Out Day, and also it is Indigenous Peoples Day. So you know what? Let's talk about it. Let's not beat around the bush. Is Thanksgiving evil? Now, I'm asking about Thanksgiving in particular because it seems pretty straightforward to me that Columbus was evil. Whenever I think about whether or not Columbus was evil, my first thought is yes. And my second thought is of this clip from The Good Place, which I'll show now.
Fun fact, Columbus is in the bad place because of all the raping, slave trade, and genocide.
So first things first, what is Thanksgiving celebrating? What we're all taught in grade school is that, like, pilgrims came to the United States, and then the natives taught the pilgrims how to survive, and then they had a feast. And in some ways, believe it or not, that's a little bit true. What they leave out of the grade school curriculum is, the rape and genocide and disease. But for the sake of argument, let's say that in 1621, there really was a feast. Not only was there a feast, it was shared by Native Americans and by pilgrims, and it was intended to be shared, which is actually in doubt. But again, let's not touch on that. Let's grant all of that. The question remains, what is being celebrated, right? Like, lots of feasts have been had throughout history, and we don't celebrate every time someone had a feast. So was it the Pilgrims' success in America? They had been there for like a year, and a lot of people were still starving and freezing to death. So yeah, not exactly successful. Okay, if not that, then maybe we're celebrating the peace between Native Americans and Pilgrims? Yeah, well, it's definitely not that. As I mentioned earlier, it's not even sure that the festivities were for everyone, and secondarily, there was a lot of violence yet to be had between the two groups. In fact, a lot of violence and conflict which still remains today. And I think that's the source of a lot of people's frustration with Thanksgiving. It seems to be celebrating something that maybe we shouldn't be celebrating, a success we don't have. I mean, maybe it was a short-term success in that they had enough food for a feast, but that was likely due to the case that they wouldn't be able to save all the food that they had harvested for the winter. The hard part was still coming. And that line rings true. The hard part is still coming. We still have the hard work in front of us of making sure that Native people are treated with the respect and dignity that they deserve. More than that, we have a moral responsibility to look at our past and consider what was done to them and their people and accommodate them in modern times as best we can. And you know what? Accommodate was the wrong word to use there. We need to bring people up that historically have suffered. Okay, that's cool and all, you might say, but where does that leave us with Thanksgiving? And that's a good question. I said a minute ago that maybe we shouldn't celebrate it because there's nothing to celebrate, but there is a good idea to celebrate there. The idea that we teach grade school children, and that a lot of people think they're celebrating, is that together, we breed success. More than that, Thanksgiving is a day which represents coexistence for a lot of people. So there's this weird divide where some people think that it represents coexistence and other people think that it represents division. So here's where I fall on the matter. I think it's important that people know the history of Thanksgiving and the history of how Native people have been treated in the United States for its entire history. That way, we can treat people with the fairness and kindness that they deserve, so that we learn from the mistakes of the past, and so that we can better understand the present. At the same time, I really enjoy eating mashed potatoes. So I know I'm about a month early, but we'll start getting the War on Thanksgiving messages pretty soon, and I just wanted to combat those messages by saying, there are people that believe it's okay to celebrate Thanksgiving. It's not a war on Thanksgiving. If anything, it's a war on ignorance. So my verdict is no. Thanksgiving isn't evil. And happy Indigenous Peoples Day. Meshach, I'll see you tomorrow.